Yo, dudes, what is going on? Apologies for being 10 minutes late. I actually need about 2 more minutes and I'll let you guys know what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and put on a mellow track from the February 2020 Side Hustle playlist. This is a Sao Paulo Sunset. While I pull up my script and we'll get going. Okay, so just give me a second. All right, dudes. Technology. What can I freaking say? Um, as some of you know, I have been vagabonding for the past few months in pursuit of my startups, and so I've been staying with some family out here in the desert, and as a result, have been trying to figure out my content recording setup. So this is my second location, not my favorite. I'm in my room right now. I've got these curtains back here I don't really like, but who cares, right? What are we here for? It's Friday, Flex Friday, guys. I hope everyone is doing well. If you are catching the live recording of this video, I want you to first say hello. Hello, hope you're doing well. If you are not in the live recording and are watching the replay, my name is Terence. I am the founder of Three Brands. If you are watching this, you have probably stumbled across this while consuming some of my content from my consultancy, Startup Sharks. Startup Sharks is a brand that works with businesses of all organizations, but we have a special place in our heart for startups and founders. The idea is that I use my 12 plus years of expertise in marketing, sales, business development, branding, product development in order to help clients get the word out about their projects or just to get their projects out, I should say. I started Startup Sharks after launching my own startup food tribe and realizing that I had some talent, but I needed some additional resources in order to scale the company, in order for it to be what I wanted, and also, just because I needed community. I realized that this entrepreneur game, it can be kind of lonely, and I just needed a place to vent and surround myself with other people who understood what I was going through, who are like-minded, who are creative thinkers, and boom, I just decided to create a business out of it. So that's my story. If you are finding this message and are continuing to watch and any of that is resonating with you, drop a comment. Tell me what you're working on. Tell me what sort of help you need, what you're interested in learning more about, and hopefully you can figure out a way to collaborate, have a conversation, or at least walk away with a potential new friend. Today, guys, and I want to keep us on task, but Today we're going to be spending some time continuing a conversation or on a concept that I've been working on. You guys have probably been hearing me talk about it a bunch if you're in any of my social channels. But last month I had the lucky opportunity to participate in a fireside chat in South Los Angeles in conjunction with Startup Grind South LA. Startup Grind South LA facilitates workshops, trainings, and special events for startups. And I was just lucky enough to be able to spend some time talking about my experiences building Food Tribe. And Food Tribe is my baby, which it's not a baby, it's a business, but one that is very, very, very near and dear to me. It's as a result of a lifetime of work, quite frankly, the lifetime of work of being myself, and the reason why it's easy, well maybe not easy, but the reason why I'm able to get up every day and continue to work on this idea that maybe some people think is crazy is because I spent a ton of time working on my own in terms of identifying my purpose and understanding my purpose. And so, it's my hope that this training will help you to understand your purpose, and hopefully give you some ways to kickstart an opportunity for you to go ahead and find the same sort of joy that I find in working in Food Tribe, right? So I want you to launch a purpose-driven brand once we get done talking today. That being said, let's go ahead and hop into this training, guys. So again, today we are talking about the 3 P's of purpose-driven entrepreneurship. And you're probably hearing this and you're like, Terrence, what the heck are you talking about? What are the P's of entrepreneurship? And I'm going to tell you. But first, I want to ask you a question. And my question for you is, why are you here today, right now? And you can write it down, you can drop a comment, you can, just say it to yourself. But that is a question that I don't think enough of us ask ourselves, right? Which is why we're here, why we are lucky enough to, be able to enjoy this experience of being alive and being a person, right? And brand value or branding, the best companies to me are ones that understand their brand, their vision, and their purpose. And I think that those are directly related to the brand vision, mission, and culture that a company is able to create, which is a direct reflection of the mission, the values, the vision statement that a founder has created, right? So, if you're really looking to understand the sum of your life, when you're 95 years old or 130, and, hopefully having made some sense of, why you have been here on this planet, it's my hope that you're able to kind of go into the great beyond, looking death. So this is for my Harry Potter nerds, but walking with that alongside death as if it were a friend, rather than wondering, well, what if or what could have been, right? And so, I want you guys all to have this very confident response and being able to say, why you're here. And one really easy way of doing that is by following my 3P philosophy for finding purpose in your work. But ultimately, what I want for all you guys is to find purpose in your work. I want you to be able to look back on how you spent the majority of your time with a smile on your face, right? And I don't think that everybody is lucky enough to get that. And I think that it's going to become even more challenging in the coming years as technology becomes a whole lot more easier, or excuse me, more integrated into our lives, right? Technology makes living in a lot of ways a whole lot easier. So if you don't have a really good understanding of your purpose and you're not having to work as hard, well, then all of a sudden I think life starts getting a little bit more complicated. It starts, quite frankly, starts getting a little bit more sad, right? Believe it or not, I believe that we are beings that are driven by doing good works. And what I mean by that is by using our unique talent, our unique skill sets in order to do some really cool, amazing things and to continue to solve problems as they rise, right? And so, that's really what drives me, and that's what drives the core of the Startup Sharks brand, which is to being your best. And that's what I want for, any client that I work with. If you're a consumer of our content or my content, the blogs or any of the videos or webinars, trainings, workshops, any of that stuff, it's my hope that it allows you to, in some form or fashion, become the best version of yourself, right? Inspired by one of my heroes, Nipsey Hussle and Kobe Bryant, but Nipsey Hussle specifically in this instance, I'm looking to touch upon 1,000 people here in 2020. So it's my hope that I'm able to proactively help 20 or 1,000 people become the best possible versions of themselves here this year. So if that sounds like you, if you want a deeper relationship, if you want to learn a little bit more, about some of my philosophies, or interested in working with me, do me a favor, and wherever you're watching this piece of content, drop a comment, drop some feedback, and I will get in touch with you, right? Because what I want for you is what I want for myself. I want to be the best version of myself, and I'm able to figure that out by understanding my purpose. And I want you to be the best version of yourself by understanding your purpose. And so, I just got done talking a little bit, a while ago about how technology has made life easy, or easier, I should say, for some of us, right? And what I mean by that is, if we look at like the entire history of human beings, we've obviously been through like different eras or different phases, right? We were, for some people might say that we were cavemen at one point, and we evolved, and we moved in. We started hunting and gathering, and then all of a sudden we moved into villages, and then from villages we built towns, and from towns we built roadways, and roadways developed cities, and all of a sudden, like the development of technology really fueled human development, and it made life a whole lot easier in some ways, in terms of figuring out the bare necessities, right? Like if you want something to eat, you don't have to go down with your bow and arrow and hunt a deer, or you don't have to spend 4 hours of your day hunting for blueberries. You can spend 10 minutes, or depending if you're sitting in traffic or not, if you live in LA or somewhere crazy like that. And I'm from LA, guys, but it's it just it can it, you just don't have that same sort of challenge, and I think that uh, you know that's just something I think that I want you to consider, right? And something else, as a result of that is, if life is getting easier for us as individuals, well then, in some ways, the collective versions of us, the examples of where we come to group together, whether it's like our churches, or whether it's our organizations, like our businesses or our governments. Well, all of a sudden, some of those relationships or some of those institutions also become a little bit easier to operate in some ways, right? And so, what we found is that or what I believe is that there is a new era of business that is being rapidly ushered in as a result of some of these new technologies that are driving human development, driving us as people. And here's what I mean by that. So we saw a couple of years ago, there's a great recession in the United States. I believe it was in 2017, 2016, even 2012. There have been, quite a few dips, or 2008, excuse me. But that being said, um, the Great Recession really exposed some like underlying flaws in terms of what's going on, in the United States specifically, but also on a global economic scale. And so, what we've seen all of a sudden is that, no more are people working for the same company for 50 years and then retiring and buying a house and, living the quote unquote American dream. But that's not really the reality for everyone, or for a lot of people, right? What the Great Recession has really exposed is the gig economy, or the sharing economy. And the sharing economy is this economy, or a way of conducting business, that is contingent on alternative work relationships, right, or alternative work arrangements. So not quite working for the same company for 50 years and having guaranteed income, but maybe, working for, one company for several months or several weeks for a contract, or, having several side hustles, like, working at a restaurant, or, driving for Uber. And so in 2018, we actually found, the Bureau of Labor Statistics found that 16.5 million people are working in, those types of roles right now. And, my assumption, or my belief, is that that number is going to continue to rise as technology becomes easier and easier. I think that technology is going to start making it a lot easier for people to, start generating and making money. And when they're making money a little bit easier, then all of a sudden, again, life isn't quite as hard, right? And when you're not struggling, you all of a sudden have a little bit more time, or if you're not working, I guess I should say, you all of a sudden have a lot more time to, start worrying about things in life that maybe you don't really need to worry about. And so that's where, again, purpose just becomes this really important thing for us to understand, especially during this new era of our economy. Again, I think I briefly introduced myself, but this was a direct, again, I started these companies as a direct result of my experience, right? I did the college thing, and I had I had a career. I spent 12 years working in startups, and I saw organizations get bought for tens of millions of dollars, and I've seen other organizations fail, and I learned along the way, and I had a 401k, and I had a great apartment, and all that great stuff. Well, I started seeing. I took a one-day course at General Assembly on, finding purpose in your work, and I started to understand that those check marks that I'd kind of put next to my name, well, they weren't really making me happy, right? I wasn't really finding purpose in those things, and so I went on vacation, and when I came back, I found out they didn't have a job anymore. But lucky enough, I had started I had felt that itch. I had felt that yearning to, kind of explore doing my own thing, months before that, right? So I was really able to, walk into three projects that I was really passionate about, which again are my consultancy and food tribe, and then I operate a tourism company. This all this stuff came together. All of my, entrepreneurial creative endeavors came as a result of understanding my purpose. What I want out of life, the thing that I do really well, and things that make me happy, right? And I don't think that I'm unique, guys. I think that there's a lot of us out in the millennial world, and even Gen X and Gen Y. There's some insecurity, right? We just don't really know what's going on. The Great Recession was scary. There was a lot of stress and anxiety in workers. So all of a sudden, with the recession taking place, people start freaking out about like job security. If you're worried about job security, well, you might not be taking care of yourself, and might not be financially stable. And for all intents and purposes, there could be a war. Like we have no clue what could happen. And so this like sense of millennial insecurity, this sort of dread, is just something that drove me for a very long time. I never quite felt safe in a job where I was getting paid biweekly, because ultimately they could fold or they could fire me whenever they wanted to, right? And that just didn't feel safe. And so, as part of my journey, I was like, the most practical thing to do would be to understand what I do that no one else can do and build a business around that, because I can't fire myself, right? I'm always going to be me, right? What are the features of the gig economy? What is it like for today's worker? Well, believe it or not, gig workers are highly educated. So either they've done some higher education, either trade or tech school, or maybe a 4-year college or university. They have different types of jobs. You can be participating in the gig economy with a short-term job, with a long-term job. You might have a single employer and then have little side hustles on outside of your 9 to 5. Technology is great because, again, another key feature of the gig economy is technology and online collaboration, and being able to use the new technology to do a job that typically, maybe 20 or 30 or 40 years ago took 10 to 15 people to do. Now you can start a business as one individual and get a ton of stuff done, right? Who's participating in the gig economy? Well, there's three key groups, that I've been able to identify as a result of some of the research that I've done. There are the millennial gig workers. There's Generation X, and then there are Boomers. And in 2015, it was found that gig workers contributed $1 trillion to the U.S. economy. So that type of buying power is not to be laughed at, right? These are people that are making some serious money. Not everybody's making great money, but I believe that there is an opportunity for everyone. If you have been able to figure out what your purpose is, and what it is that you do better than anyone else. How do you take advantage of the gig economy? Which is a great question, right? There are three key ways that I would recommend, and I'm going to have this slideshow for you guys to take advantage of. I'll drop a comment in the comment section, or if you want, me to email you something, just let me know. But there are three key ways to participate in the gig economy. First, you want to identify what kind of business you're operating or you want to work for. Second, you want to manage your time well, right? And third, you want to launch. You want to figure out how you're actually going to get out into the market. And I've got some trainings and some worksheets. If you want to understand a little bit more about the side gig economy, I actually have a deeper presentation. And I do offer some coaching. So if that sounds like something like you want to hop into the gig economy, let me know and we'll schedule a chat. But let's go ahead, guys, and just dive into our presentation today. Like, let's get into the meat and potatoes of things, right? Like, now we understand, like, we're living in a different world, right? The world is changing. How we make money is changing. How we do work is changing. How we define ourselves is changing, right? And so if you don't have a really good idea of where you want to be, well, the world is going to be changing around you and you're not going to be able to adapt. And so I want you to understand what your purpose is, because once you understand your purpose, you can start to adapt. And so we're going to go through that during our discussion today. This is a little out of place. We've already done our introduction. You guys have understood a little bit about the future of work, but we're going to talk about that a little bit more in terms of brass tacks, what that means. We're going to dive in a little bit more regarding the importance of purpose. Then from there, we're going to talk about my 3 P's of entrepreneurship, and then we'll close out. I'll get you guys out of here, okay? So we've been going for, let me see, I think about 15 minutes so far. So let's keep it pushing so I can get you guys out of here, okay? All right, first quote I want to hit you guys with. You're ready to pursue your purpose once you're tired of others telling you about you. Okay, and I want you to hear that again. You are ready to pursue your purpose once you're tired of others telling you about you. Not until you know who you are, what you want. Not until, obviously I want other people's opinions to matter to you, but not enough that you feel insecure or unworthy of who you are, right? So once you're tired of other people telling you about you and what you should be doing and who you are, then you're ready to pursue your purpose. So if that doesn't sound like you, just hit the pause button, hit the stop button, come back to this video later. It's okay, like, no hard feelings, but this journey is not going to be easy, this journey of self-discovery, right? So if you are one that's going to be easily shook by like the opinions of other people, I don't believe that you're quite ready to achieve your purpose. But if you are, let's keep going down the rabbit hole. And so when I say you, right, I think that is something that we should all, get on the same page about, right? So when I say that you need to seek purpose in your life, what I mean is you need to understand what your influences are, who, what, where, when, how, why, what your influences are, what influences you, right? Because what influences you influences your internal monologue. This person up here who is talking to you every day. If you're like me, I don't know if you guys have a narrative that runs in your head, but your influences influence your internal monologue, right? And then your internal monologue then changes how you respond to everyday experiences. So it's all this like full circle, right? You have your influences. Your influences, they work on your internal monologue. Then your internal monologue dictates to you how you respond to those things that are happening to you every day, which then become your new influences, right? So when we're talking about you, we're talking about your influences, your internal monologue, and how you respond to everyday experiences. So once you understand who you are, then you're ready to pursue your purpose. Your own understanding, right? We just got done talking about what you are understanding, those 3 areas. Those 3 things coming together equals your own understanding of you, right? And once you understand you're ready to understand, why do you work, right? Why are you spending all day, quite literally, if you're like most of us, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. I think the stat is like 60-something% of your time, 70% of your time before you die, doing the thing that you do, right? Do you just do it and check in and you just do it because, or are you doing it for a reason, right? That's something that you understand when you understand yourself, right? Our life, in my opinion, is a combination of how we spend our time, our energy, and our resources, right? So if at the end of your life, you've been spending your time, energy, and resources in a way that makes you happy, your own understanding of you, then you're good. But if you're like a lot of America or a lot of people, you don't use your time, energy, and resources on things that make you happy or that give you purpose, well, today's a day to flip that understanding. Let's move on to something else, y'all. Let's do something different, right? So diving into how why do we work? Why do we spend our time, energy, and resources on this thing every day, right? Or 5 days a week? Well, we want to connect with other people. We want to connect with people. That's what we do as humans. We love connecting with others. We want By connecting with others, we then can expand our professional opportunities. Professional opportunities equal a chance of higher income, a chance of growth, a chance to achieve our goals, right? Not only does, increasing your professional opportunities lead to all these like bonus things, but then you also get new and different information, right? So you start to gather information from other people who are better at things than you are, that can offer some value to, help you understand to help improve your own understanding, right? Which then allows you to broaden your perspective. And then again, it's a full circle. You broaden your perspective and you start connecting with other like-minded people. And that's why we work, right? We do these four things over and over and over and over and over again. And, sure, they serve different purposes, but these are, the primary reasons why we spend our time, our energy, and our resources on working, right? And then lastly, and this is, I guess, the quite most obvious one, is we work to live, right? And the great thing about technology making life so much easier is that now all of a sudden we get to decide how we want to live. And your action or your inaction, I want you guys to understand that or hear that again, your action or your inaction are the choice that you have made in terms of how you want to live your life. Okay? So just remember that. What keeps you motivated? What motivates you to live your life? Well, science, and just this again depends on who you believe, but science teaches us that there are two primary forms of motivation. There's intrinsic motivation and there's extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation are internal motivating factors, right? So these are things that we can't really put a dollar amount or we can't quantify. So it's like inspiration. We are motivated to do things because we're inspired or because something is funny, because we're feeling creative, because we're feeling compassionate or happy or whatever it is, right? Those are those, things that we can't really, quite put a dollar amount. Extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, is something that typically we can put a dollar amount or at least quantify. We can number, right? It's, how much money we want to generate every year, the number of family members we can afford, the amount of travel that we want to do every year, the number of properties that we want to purchase. And employers everywhere are constantly, looking to recruit, fire, hire, train, whatever, based on these two key factors, right? What motivates you internally and what motivates you externally. And they try to figure out, the perfect balance when they look to hire. Well, the flip of it is that if you've done the work of understanding you and your own understanding, well, then all of a sudden you have a little bit of a more clear picture of what motivates you, right? And then all of a sudden you're a lot more valuable because you can clearly communicate your value proposition and what you want to see from your life, right? And that's a step above a whole lot of other people. And I can quantify that, right? It turns out that $300 billion is the amount of money that disengaged employees cost the economy every year. And so what I mean by that is that $300 billion in lost productivity, that's how much money we spend on people who just don't really care about their job, or maybe they do care, but they're not doing their best. They're not motivated to be the best versions of themselves at their job, right? Which is, a shame, right? Because we just got done saying that startup sharks, we want to be the best versions of ourselves, right? And so if we're not being the best versions of ourselves, well, it might be time to, do things a little bit differently, right? To the tune of $300 billion as a people. So that's why purpose is important in your work, guys, because once you understand what you want, you'll never be in a position where you're guessing. You're constantly moving forward. You're along this track. You're along this path. And sure, things might change as your own understanding of you changes, right? But you'll at least feel a little bit more well-informed than the average bear, right? And if you're a little bit more informed, well, chances are you're going to be providing the best version of yourself, the best possible work that you can provide. And as a result of the best possible work that you can provide, your experience, right, is going to be that much better. And what does it mean to live? What does it mean to have an experience on this planet? Well, that changes depending on who you are, right? Elon Musk wants to move people to Mars. All right, he's going for it. It's going to take him a long time, but shit, let's do it, right? I'm launching a new restaurant review platform, and there's $1 billion gorilla out there, but fuck it, I want to do it. And I cuss here sometimes, guys, so apologies. That's not how you vibe. But, that's part of me knowing me. I'm cool with a little bit of cussing here now and then. I want to empathetically explain stuff. That's who I am. That's how I want to live. So do the hard work of figuring out how you want to live, right? And that's why we're here today. We want to hop in. We want to understand our purpose. Guys, I got done talking about how technologies are making work a little bit easier. They're changing things. There's a recent Harvard Business Review study. I believe it was Harvard Business Review. I do have a copy of the link, so I'll drop a comment in that once I'm done. But, again, work is continuing to change, right? As a result of some really smart people knowing their purpose. Some really smart people invented a computer or a laptop or a smartphone. And that was their life's work. And their life's work is making your job a whole lot easier. So what are we seeing as a result of some of these new technologies? Well, tasks are starting to go more and more from people to machines. We just got done talking about that, right? You guys probably interact with this thing more than you realize, and you're doing a bunch of work, whether it's sending a message, sending an email, recording something live on Facebook. If you're, I'm sure you respond to a bunch of work emails, signing contracts, whatever it is. We're using these things like crazy, right? That's one way that technology is changing the way that we operate. Tasks are starting to be able to translate more easily between humans and devices. The tasks that we're starting to the second way that technology is changing the way that we perform tasks is that tasks are starting to require more soft skills. So being able to communicate, being able to understand people, being empathetic, understanding what motivates people, right? Those types of skills are starting to become more and more important as technology is starting to, make some of the processing, the more grunt work, the heavy lifting a little bit easier. Which also then means, all of a sudden, if we are more productive as a result of the technology that's coming, right, and how we are not required to do as much heavy lifting anymore, well, all of a sudden, we're starting to make a lot more money, right? Where 50, 60 years ago, thinking about a $3 billion check or somebody that's worth $3 billion, that would have been outrageous. Well, now we see billionaires happening all the time, right? Well, that's what happens. Money is, cheap. We're able to just print more of it. We're able to generate more of it. We're able to assign new values to things, as a result of the increase in productivity that we're seeing, right? And so, when you combine these three areas, well, all of a sudden you need to ask yourself, where do you fit in, right? Where do you fit in as a result of technology all of a sudden changing the way that we do things and the way that we interact with each other and the way that we accomplish jobs? Think about it. And my recommendation is that we need to know ourselves, right? So as work changes through technology, know what you're good at so that you can work with the technologies that will allow you to be the best version of yourself while you're continuing to add value or new value to others. Got it? So know yourselves so that as technology changes and work changes, you'll do good work with the technologies that are going to allow you to continuously be the best version of yourself and add new value to others. And that could mean working solo as a side hustler, right? Understanding your purpose and where you fit in. It could be working as a teammate, but knowing yourself all of a sudden means that you know what your skill set are, or what your skill sets are, and what type of work people can expect from you when they seek to engage with you, or when they seek to connect with you. I mean, plain and simple to me, purpose is just, it's all about making sense of life. This life, depending on how you look at it, can be quite beautiful or quite ugly, right? Um, Me seeing the beauty, that long-term vision, where I want to be 30 years from now, understanding my purpose, right, allows me to get out of bed and continue to fight every day because I know that there's something that I'm working towards, right? So I think life gets a little bit easier when you understand your why, because the challenges that you face, the recurring challenges, all of a sudden they're just not scary because you just know where you're going to be, right? So we're hopping into my 3 P's of purpose-driven entrepreneurship before I get you guys out of here. And there's 3 of them. We're going to go through 3 quick sections. There's your past is the first P. There's your present, that's the second P. And there's your prediction of your purpose, right? We're going to walk quickly through on how to accomplish those 3. So if you want to understand your past life, what I recommend that you do is understand your childhood. Quite literally, put yourself in your childhood frame of mind, and whether you want to write it down or record it or whatever it is, understand who you were as a child. What were your skill sets? What did you like to do for fun? What made you giggle? How did you spend time with your siblings or out alone? What were the things that brought you a ton of joy as a child that maybe you were kind of talked out of as you moved into your adolescence? Because then when you're in your adolescence, I want you to understand, when you're thinking through your adolescence, I want you to understand when that childlike innocence that you had, started to die a little bit, where you started to understand, like, hey, this world is tough, and if I want to survive, I'm going to have to, get serious about life a little bit, or I'm going to have to, I have to mature, I have to grow up. Now, not to say that, not everyone is lucky enough to not understand their purpose. I mean, if you know your purpose, that's fantastic. But typically, a lot of us, struggle during our adolescence to hold on to, our childhood dreams. That's typically where some of that stuff gets beaten out of us. And then, especially during our maturation. So when we're, young adults, when we're, experiencing the world on our own, and really seeing how tough the world is. I think that is, when you can kind of combine those 3 areas, understanding your past life, well, that is a fantastic opportunity for you to start understanding your purpose. Because from there, you're able to really separate the things that you liked and the things that you didn't like about your past experiences. And then from there, once you understand your past, well, then all of a sudden you can start making sense of your present approach to life, right? And there are 2 key ways to do that. There's understanding your Tatiana's calling me in our group. I'm gonna have to call her later. Tatiana, I'm going live in the Facebook group. We'll call you back later. Um, so there are 2 key areas. The first of which is we just got done doing, or understanding, which is your own unique. It's your own unique understanding, right? So like your influences, your internal monologue, and your experiences every day, right? So those 3 areas, that is totally, like, there is nobody else on this planet who has that type of understanding, right? So because there's no one like that, there's only you that's here on this planet today. That is an intangible gift, special skill, whatever that you have. That is part of your superpower, because no one else has had your experiences and can do what you do. Now, on the other side, there are tangible skills, right, that are part of your present. And your tangible skills could be, anything like your resources, like money, or a car. It could be skill sets that you have. It could be your network. But once you understand your own unique experience, your past, right? Well, then all of a sudden you combine that with your tangible skills, and then maybe you can start solving a problem, right? You can start figuring out what your purpose is. You can start figuring out the problem, the unique problem that only you see, that you have the right skill set or the right amount of resources to solve, right? And then from there, this is our 3rd P in terms of understanding your purpose and starting your purpose-driven business, is being able to predict your future. So have a long-term vision for yourself, right? I want you to understand where you want to be 30 years from now, and then reverse engineer that to, where do you need to be in 10 years to make sure that you're on your way to 30 years. And in order to make sure that you're on your 10-year path, what do you have to do in the next 3 months to a year in order to make sure that you're right on the right track, right? And I've got an exercise for you that is going to allow you to figure out where you're going to be in the next 30 years. I'll drop a link into that as well. It's called my 30 years in 3 minutes exercise. It's a workshop and an exercise that I did. It's built upon some of the learnings that I did during my days at General Assembly with Smiley Paswalski, excuse me. But being able to predict my future was really, why I knew my 3 brands were worth the time, money, effort, energy of getting started. I knew that these were the 3 problems that I needed to solve, and I made a prediction on them. And so that's why it's easy for me to wake up every day and work on them, right? So for rehashing our 3 Ps, moving on to the next slide, guys, we need to understand our present, our past, and we need to make a prediction. And the 4th P that I want you guys to go home with today is planning, right? Because understanding your purpose and then executing against your purpose are 2 very different things. And I need you to understand that. So do the hard work of understanding what your purpose is, but then do the even harder work of planning and planning and planning and planning and getting comfortable doing that every day. Because that's going to allow you to execute against your purpose and to fulfill it. So if you want to start planning, that 4th P, my recommendation is that you do 3 things. You start creating, you start understanding, or you start talking about it, I guess I should say, or no, I should say, you should start creating, start talking about the things that you're seeing and the people, the things that you care about, the stories that you want to tell, the unique vision that only you have. Write a blog, record a podcast, record a vlog, journal, document everything as you start this journey. My next recommendation is to understand your 5 greatest strengths and 5 greatest weaknesses. Understand the 5 things that you're great at and the 5 things that you need help on, right? And then from there you can create a plan. And what I mean by that is I want you to create a business plan, okay? And I've got some resources there for you as well, if that sounds interesting to you. But if you want to at least start the plan of, starting to hit your purpose, start with these 3 key areas. Now, if you really, I've got some materials for you guys. I've got some trainings that are going to allow you to get started. It's going to allow you to know yourself better, right? Know yourself better, and from there you'll be able to, create your brand values, your mission statement, your vision statement, your principles, things that drive you in your business. From there, you can start doing the hard work of understanding who your tribe is or the people it is that you're looking to serve as a result of fulfilling your purpose. And then from there, it's all a matter of adding value. It's all a matter of helping the people, right, on a regular basis that can be helped as a result of you achieving your purpose. That's all I got for you guys. This is where you can find the 30 Years in 3 Minutes guide, startupsharks.co/30-year-business-in-3-minutes. Long URL, I know this, but take the time to to download this worksheet and work through it. If it's not making any sense, schedule a 1-hour coaching session for you, and by the end of it, you will have at least the beginnings of a new business idea. At least you'll have a 3 to 5 paragraph or 3 to 5 sentence paragraph outlining what it is that you're looking to do. If you are watching the replay of this video, or excuse me, if you're watching the live video version of this video, thank you so much for being a part of the Side Hustle Mako Startup School. It's a pleasure to be able to serve you and to partner with you and add content and just get to know you a little bit better. If you're not, please do yourself a favor and request access. We've got some really dope and amazing people in this community. I'm looking forward to just getting to know all of you guys better this year and continuing to add new faces as we move towards a shared version of discovering our purpose. Last but not least, again, drive this home. If you need help with your startup or your small business, you need help. You're interested in branding, marketing, product development, sales. Call me. Let's have a call. If we need to powwow out for a little bit and just be entrepreneurs and talk about the struggle, we can do that. We can get a coffee, we can get a beer. But let's also figure out ways to work together and to allow each other to provide one another services based off of our understanding of our purpose. That's all that I got, guys. Um, I appreciate your time very, very, very much. If excuse me, if you have any additional questions for me, or you want to get in touch, you guys have my contact information. But I appreciate you, and I want you to have a great rest of your week. Peace and love. Later.